Welcome to On the Go with AAUW. I'm Kathleen Myers, your host. You've joined us for an awesome show about the Reston Community Orchestra, and primarily the music director of the RCO, my distinguished guest, Dingwall Fleary. Dingwall?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Nice to have you.
I'm always, I take advantage of any opportunity I can to talk about the talented people we have in this community, and particularly those with whom I work on a weekly basis. So it's great to be here. Thank you.
That's awesome. Now, Reston Community Orchestra, Reston is not a real big city in Northern Virginia, and yet you've managed to get this wonderful, talented pool of, what, about 70 or so musicians?
Not quite that large, but when I started, this is my 26th season, I think. I know I'm only 25. Right? But this is my 26th season with the orchestra, and when I first started, there were only 16, maybe 18 players. So it was a very small, literally a little chamber orchestra, and its original name was the Reston Chamber Orchestra. When I came along, it was so confusing because people would say to me things like, well, I didn't know the chamber had an orchestra, referring to the Chamber of Commerce, of course. Mm-hmm. And so I lobbied for quite a while with some of the players, as well as a lot of strong-arming of members of the board, to say, you know, this is so confusing, we ought to think about another name, and still something that will reflect who we are. By this point, we already had a beautifully established logo, which I didn't want to lose. And so I thought, all right, so how about the Reston Community Orchestra? It preserves the C in the name, in the logo, and we don't have to worry about any major changes to the look. But what did start to happen is that I came along at a time when I think some very serious-minded musicians really wanted to make music. And of course, you know, the Washington area is laden with a lot of talent, whether it's in the suburbs or in the city. And so I had come here with, I guess, enough of a reputation, don't ask me what kind, enough of a reputation as a builder of orchestras that interested and curious people came to join. And now our membership is close to 60, which is quite a long way from 16. And so we can do a wide range of repertoire, from pieces for very small ensembles to pieces for full orchestra, as you see in the graphic here. So it's been a thrill for me. And you know, people ask, well, how can you stay with the same group for 26 years? It's almost like it just started. I still feel just as fresh and enthusiastic about doing it as I did the day that I started. And at the time, I had no idea it would last this long. When you stop and think, when I think about my own career, now I have another orchestra in McLean, and I'm celebrating 43 years with that orchestra.
Oh, no kidding.
So when you combine them, it's a lot older than me, I hope. But again, the joy of just being able to bring music to the community with players who volunteer because they want to make good music is a very exciting thing. So 26 years doesn't seem like a very long time to me at all.
Oh, that's amazing, Dingwall. Thanks for sharing that.
Well, it has been a joy.
Yeah. Now, the Reston Community Orchestra, and I think because it is a C for community, I think it does bring a little intimate feel.
It does, yes. There have been arguments to why not, since it's grown to 60-some players, why not call it a symphony orchestra? Well, that's all just semantics, you know. But the fact that it is grounded in this community, I think, is really significant. And it has made a difference since we moved out of chamber, the word chamber. And the community has embraced us, and we've gotten more recognition from the county, from the state, because of what we're doing, not only for education of young people using music as a tool, but also for the fact that we are involving the people who actually live in the community. So that's kind of exciting. I wish I lived here.
Yeah, that's a very good way to look at that. And I know if we have any viewers that are watching from Reston, and they have a musical instrument and have a desire,
Yes.
then there is an opportunity
There
for them.
definitely is.
And how would they go about that?
We have a website which will show on the screen from time to time, but through that we can be contacted, and I can even be contacted directly because there is a link to send me an email, and we invite potential players, to come and sit among us. Join in what we're doing, and then at a break in the evening, I try to make an assessment with them. How do you feel about your playing tonight? Do you feel that this is something that you can contribute to? I get a lot of people who say, but I haven't touched my instrument in 10 years. But that doesn't matter, because what we try to do is the kind of programming that gives everybody a chance. If you've had any experience at all, you'd be welcome to come and try. And then some people certainly have eliminated themselves and said, this is just one level higher than I think I can play, but I'm going to keep practicing. I'm going to start taking lessons again, and I want to come back. We don't have formal auditions, but we just literally throw new players in with the old ones, try to sit them with people with experience, and they either stay or they don't. And now, as I said, we're almost at max. We did the first concert in the time that I've been with them, we did at Center Stage at the Community Center at Hunters Woods. And we literally just about didn't fit on the stage.
Oh, dear.
So we are, from a standpoint of numbers and balance, and that's something that as a music director I have to be concerned with all the time. If we have good balance and there are certain sections that need even more players, we go out and we encourage people to come. And it's great to have substitutes. In the case of our woodwind and brass players, where most orchestral parts may call for only 2 or 3 flutes at a time, we've had as many as 5 come, and that means that when someone gets sick, I have some people to call on as substitutes. So it really does work as a community in that way as well.
Well, that sounds like a luxury.
It is. It's really quite a luxury. I mean, the professional orchestras have to pay for that kind of luxury. Fortunately, our players are so enthusiastic that they willingly volunteer.
Oh, that's fantastic. And then another way that the community can help out is to donate.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the problem with any orchestra, whether it's a paid orchestra or a volunteer orchestra, is it does cost to put productions on. Just for us to be able to acquire the music that we play and share with our neighbors can cost us quite a lot of money. Some rentals can run as much as $800 to $1,000 for a 6-week period, which is pretty expensive. So if we do a program that calls for more than one piece that we must rent because it's available in no other way, then that cost gets pretty high. If we have guest artists, and we do try to encourage professional players to come because it raises the level of the players in the orchestra, to come as soloists, then an honorarium is expected from them. Sometimes I am able to eke out some generous, contributions of talent, but we have to be prepared for the fact that this is going to probably be a production cost. So all of these things combined end up making a season far more expensive than most people would realize. So yeah, the idea that we have businesses who support us through ads in our programs, we have individuals who make contributions, and we ask people to make a contribution at the concert itself.
But they're predominantly free.
The concerts are free.
But we
ask for someone, if this music has moved you, help us do another one by giving us a little bit to make it work. So that's how that happens.
I see. And about how many concerts do you put on per season?
We have 4 formal concerts. We do one, the opening concert in the fall is usually just before Thanksgiving. We do a tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King in January, and then a spring concert and a final concert at the end of the spring, which is usually focused on youth. Last year we added a Christmas concert, which was just a delight. I think I mentioned this off camera. We invited not only musicians, kids, everybody who played, even if they haven't played for 10 years, to come sit with the orchestra. We asked families to bring their voices, and we sing carols and you know, sleigh ride and other kinds of things, and just have a lot of fun. And it was so successful last year that we decided we must do it again this year. So it was hosted and will be hosted again by the Sunset Hills Montessori School. But it is one of those things that just I think we're all looking forward to doing again. Excuse me.
So this is a very family
very well.
oriented.
The whole season is very family.
Oh, the whole season is.
Absolutely.
But this particular Christmas, kind of a sing-along.
Yes, it's a sing-along, play-along. And it's all music of the season. And some of it we practice, some of it we don't. We just get out there and do it. And everybody had such a good time last year that I said to the board, we absolutely must do this again.
Oh, that's wonderful, Dingwall. That's just great.
Excuse me.
Sure. Now, the orchestra music, I'm sure, is just fantastic. You have guest soloists from time to time, either singers or
yes,
pianists, or I mean.
Right. We have had all of that. We've had violinists. We've had professional violinists who've come and played. We've had professional pianists as well as students. Soloist. We did a concert last year or the year before where we actually commissioned a piece for 4 student violinists. And that was a wonderful experience. The composer, Michael Ream, has been a friend for years, a personal friend of mine, and he has actually sat in with the orchestra from time to time. So he knew not only the abilities of the orchestra, which now have grown exponentially from when he last played with us, but he also understood what being a student player is like. And so the concerto that he wrote for 4 violins and full orchestra was just thrilling. And it had never been done before. So we have a lot of opportunities to make those kind of contributions to the music repertoire. So.
Oh, that's just fantastic, fantastic. Now, you are the musical director, so it's your job to keep the tempo and to make sure that the audience is enjoying the most of a piece.
My job is probably one of the most misunderstood.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the title music director means that all of the planning for what will be played, for the next however many years, and particularly as the season approaches, the planning for that is what I make. And that means that I have to plan programs that have enough diversity in them that they retain the interest of everyone in a family, because we really do want this to be remembered as and known as a community orchestra that is family friendly. And that's why our concerts are free. But then there's the business of working with the librarian to make sure that these things are available. And after that, there's the rehearsal process. And that's where my job, I think, gets to be the most interesting and the most fun, because I have an opportunity to take music that's on paper and put it in front of 55 or 60 people and mold it so that it comes together to make some cohesive statement as a composition. And whether it's a piece by a contemporary composer or if it's one of the masters, the idea is that we all have to begin to think together. And that means that a conductor, and that's when I take out the little white stick, the conductor has to convince everybody else of his idea, that his idea is the right one to go with. And sometimes we are able to bend a little bit here and there. Sometimes my tempos, the tempos that I may want, are faster than they think they can play. So I might have to make some adjustments along those lines. But the idea is that the process of putting the music, making it come from the paper to the audience is what happens in the rehearsals. By the time we get to the concerts, I'd hate to think that the players don't need to watch me anymore. And no, they do, because that's the place where after all of the rehearsals are done and everybody has a pretty good idea of how we want to interpret any given piece of music, depending on the environment that we're playing in, the venue, depending on how the audience reacts along the way, sometimes minuscule changes have to be made, and that is something that I have to sense. And so this is when the conductor's job becomes a little bit more stressful, because you really then are doing what we call fine-tuning. And you know, just the change of a position of an eyebrow can make a violin player play a little softer or a little louder.
Oh, really?
And so these kind of things have to happen. And fortunately, I think I've gotten the trust of those people that when I do make a decision like that, they will go with me.
Yeah, I didn't understand it was so nuanced.
Oh, it really is, actually.
Oh,
yeah, it's
gosh.
not a matter of taking the stick and beating time.
Or beating the violinist.
Or beating the violinist. You don't want to do that.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to
But
beat
you
the
are
violinist.
communicating with them on a very subtle
And
level.
and constantly. I mean, it is something there where you can never really break down. I mean, you have to be consciously aware of what every instrument is doing at any given time, so that you know you can get the right balance and the right nuance. Exactly. So and that is sometimes stressful depending on the music that's chosen. We've done some concerts where it falls together so amazingly beautifully that everybody can think together and make it happen. And then there have been some other things where the music is so dangerously difficult that everyone's biting their nails, including me. So, but the idea is that we're having fun doing it together, and I think that's what makes this work so very well. And this group in Reston is, I mean, I've conducted orchestras. I've just come back from a wonderful guest conducting opportunity in my hometown of St. Louis. And I'm looking forward to Monday night when I get together with my friends in this orchestra and so that we can put some things together for this community to come enjoy with us. Because I think that's what it boils down to. We're not playing for ourselves. We're really playing and sharing this thing that we love, which is music.
Well, and you're making memories for people.
We hope, yes.
You know.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah.
You know. And you play all kinds of different, it's not always classical, it's contemporary.
Yeah,
It appeals to everyone in the family, all ages.
Exactly. In fact, may I just share a little bit about what we're going to be doing this year?
Please.
Our opening concert, I've called it West Comes East. And in that program, we're playing a lot of things that many of our children in this community's parents probably grew up with as Western TV themes and or movie themes. And so we found a lot of things that really are great music that you only hear in soundtracks and sound bites when you're looking at a commercial. We decided, let's bring all this music together. So we're playing some of the music of Aaron Copland, some of his Rodeo Suite. I found a composer in Colorado who wrote this wonderful piece that is a vision. He calls it Colorado Vistas. And it's just a wonderful, you think of the mountains and the majesty of the West. This piece brings that all out.
Oh, my.
And then there are just a lot of other things in that program. So that's the opening concert. And we go from that one to our Holiday Fun program in December. And that's going to be on the Sunday before Christmas, 21st. 21st of December.
Now, we can check your website
Yes,
if
absolutely.
we need to know anything
Right.
about
In
programming.
fact, I'm so bad at remembering dates. I just know I have to be there Monday night.
Okay.
And then to sort of balance some other parts of our experience, I have made it a point, we have been invited by the Reston Community Center to participate in their Martin Luther King weekend events. And so now for the last 6-7 years, we have presented a concert in honor of Dr. King. And that program has always been pretty much concentrated on music of African American composers and or music that will feature African American artists.
Wonderful.
This year we have a fantastic baritone by the name of Ronald Coleman, who will be singing with us. Beverly Cosham, who people in Reston know very well. She's probably the diva of song stylists in this community. She is now the president of the board to boot, but so we get to feature our own. But Beverly's voice is so exciting, and the orchestra loves accompanying her.
Because I think we were showing our audience a picture
good.
there of
There
of
she
Beverly.
is, yes.
Yes.
She is just one of the most delightful people to work with as a musician. And as a leader, she's proved, because she is also, I think, on the board of the Reston Community Center. So she is really a civic-minded individual who happens to be extraordinarily talented and who doesn't mind sharing that talent with us. So we have that going. So that's in January. And then in the spring, right in the middle of the spring, I'm doing a program which we call Past and Present, where we're taking all of the great name composers, Brahms, Mozart, doing some of their work, and then we're bringing it forward to music by composers who are living now, trying to find out ways that they either grew or learned from the masters or decided to go completely left of the masters and create their own styles. And one of the composers that we're featuring in that program is actually a Reston resident by the name of, I have to look it up because I can't think, what is his name? Oh, David Rubenstein. We played the piece 2 or 3 years ago, and I've wanted to bring it back, and I thought this will be the time to do it, when we're actually going to just have some fun with showing that music doesn't have to be in one stodgy way or another. It can really expand and make people smile and even laugh out loud, and that's what we're doing.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's a fantastic way to think about it. So I like what you're doing with your programs, but that's a big job on your part to bring all this together into a program that you know people are going to enjoy and remember, and they want to come back for more.
Yes.
That type of thing.
I will say that's true. We have been building audiences exponentially, and I'm just delighted that I've been a part of seeing that growth. I know that when I first started with the orchestra and those 15 or 16 people, they were playing pretty much just for themselves, and part of it was probably the word chamber in its name. But now, having grown as they have, and beginning to present concerts in larger venues, such as the community center at Hunters Woods, and in some of the churches as well. We've performed in some of the churches in the city. People are becoming more aware, and it has been through things like the Martin Luther King concert, I think. Now, certainly the December play-along. People have found out that symphony orchestras don't have to be stodgy, and you don't have to, put on your finest big hat.
You don't have to wear a tuxedo or anything.
Even though it's kind of nice to see the audiences dressed up, not quite as much as we are, but, and people do come in a variety of attire. Some people come very casual, that come with even sneakers and sandals. That's okay. What we want to do is expose people to music that they have not only might be familiar with, but also things that they could experience with us for the first time.
Well, that's fantastic. You make it so accessible to everyone,
We do.
and it's right there in their own community. They don't even have to drive or get on the beltway.
That's right. It's right.
It's
right
just
at
right
Hunters
there.
Wood. It's wonderful, and we've been lucky because we've had some very good support. As I mentioned earlier, that our holiday sing-along is hosted by the Sunset Hills Montessori School. That is our rehearsal venue, and they, as a gesture, because we are giving to the community, give us that space to use. It's very hard for orchestras, for there to be a space big enough for an orchestra to rehearse. The schools are always so busy with so many activities that it's difficult to get in there, and they cost too much money.
Oh, sure.
So the fact that Mrs. Minerick and the school have opened their arms to us has been a real blessing for us, without a question. And yet, we still have to work on finding the niche to be able to cover the other expenses that go along with doing the things that we're doing. One of the things that I didn't talk about, and I haven't talked about the final concert, but I didn't talk about what we do in the summer. I mentioned that we are very kind of education conscious. During the summer, for the last 10 years or more, the Reston Community Orchestra has hosted what we call summer reading, the Summer Reading Orchestra, SRO. And with that, we invite musicians, whether they are active or inactive, but just want to play, to come and sit in with us, and we sight read new music or just old music or just so the fun of playing in the summertime. And we have players from other orchestras come and join us, because otherwise they'd just be sitting around during the summer because their season is in hiatus. And so that's a thrill, and that has grown in such a way. When we first started doing it, we worried that there'd be anybody at all. This past summer, we had an orchestra that was close to the size of the National Symphony.
Oh my goodness.
It was amazing.
Oh my goodness.
It was amazing. I kept thinking, this room has got to get bigger.
Oh.
So yeah, that's been a very successful thing, and we do invite young people to come, and we have had a lot of students who, after doing that a couple of summers, have eventually become regular members of the orchestra. So it's had some good benefits for sure.
Well, that's wonderful, and Dingwall, I just know that your enthusiasm for the music and your Reston Community Orchestra it's contagious.
I hope.
And I know I want our viewers to just go up to the website, get more information, what they can do, what they can attend, if they can donate and help you further this love of music.
Yes.
And just instill it in the young people.
And there's an opportunity for people in the community to come and actually serve. Our board is a volunteer board, and those replacements have to be there all the time.
That's right. And thank you for joining us, and join us next time for On the Go.